take a few minutes. My dad had a really good sense of humor, so I might say something today that makes you laugh, but don't worry about it. It's kind of today is kind of it's hard because you don't know if it's inappropriate to laugh, but my dad had a great sense of humor, and I would always make him laugh whenever I saw him, so I'm not sure exactly why he laughed so much. But anyway, I'm going to read this here. Good afternoon. I'd like to thank each of you for attending today's service in memory of my father, who recently passed away at the age of 87. My dad loved people, and he would be delighted that each of you came today, and would no doubt want to talk to each of you. If you don't know me, I'm Chuck's son, also named Chuck, with a different middle name, because Dad didn't want me to be called Junior. Today we are here to remember my father, Charles William Carden, or better known as Dad, Papa, friend, husband, brother, and uncle. I am honored to speak in remembrance of him today. My dad grew up in Pawtucket, Rhode Island. His dad, Bill, was the Pawtucket tax assessor, and his mother, Jean, who was French-American, was a homemaker and raised 3 girls and 4 boys. They were Irish Catholic. My dad talked about getting hit with a ruler a few times on his knuckles by the nuns in his Catholic school, as he and his brother Bill would get into trouble at times there and up at the family farm in Rougemont, Canada. Dad ended up going into the Air Force as a radar tech. He spent most of his time while in Japan for a year playing softball. While stationed at McCord Air Force Base, my mom and dad met at a dance hall called the Spanish Castle near Tacoma, Washington, and were soon married. After starting out their marriage in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, they came back to Washington and settled down, eventually ending up in Vancouver. He loved my mother immensely and would say, "That's my girl," when she would walk into the room, even after 60 years of marriage. They enjoyed many trips together, such as spending many winters in Arizona in their fifth wheel, visiting Hawaii, Barbados, and France. Together, they built a life centered around Jesus, providing their home for Bible studies, working together in alcohol and drug ministries, and having many family gatherings, and providing a place filled with love and support for us all. If I had to describe my dad's strongest 3 traits, it would be love for people, hardworking, and a strong love for God. He showed his love for his grandchildren by taking them out on dates regularly. He loved being a grandfather and loved kids immensely. Even up to his last days, he would smile when he saw a baby and always wanted to hold his latest great-grandchildren. My dad laughed a lot, and kids would make him laugh. All of us who were blessed to call him Dad received love and encouragement from him. We have many special memories of how he made us feel loved. The firstborn, Danica, was known as the responsible one. One of the special things he would do with Danica was take her to the baseball games. This is when we lived in Tacoma, so we would see the Cubs. She has fond memories of singing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" during the 7th inning stretch. I'm the middle child. He often referred to me as Buddy, even when I was 60 years old. My fondest memories are when he would go golfing at Pinecrest. We would go golfing. We would call the 9th hole the cookie hole, because a cookie was on the line for whoever won that hole. I ended up buying a lot of cookies. I used to joke with him that one day I would beat him when he was in a wheelchair and on oxygen. That day never came. He remained the champion. Michelle was his little girl, and he used to sing the Beatles song "Michelle, My Belle" to her when she was young. And when she was just a little girl, she would sit out on the steps of our house in her pajamas. This was again in Tacoma, waiting for him to give her a ride on his Yamaha 125 motorcycle. She has fond memories of that until one day when it was stolen out of her garage. And that probably wouldn't be legal today either. All of us kids had fun times riding in a Singer sewing machine cargo van, or as we called it, going around the block in the Singer truck. He would put us in the back, and we would be sliding and falling all over the place as he would take corners. Although this wouldn't be legal today, we had the time of our lives in the back of that van. My dad was a fun dad, and he always had a way of making each of us feel special. After Dad became a believer, one of his favorite things to do was to always be learning new things about God. he was involved with Bible study fellowship for years. He would share his love for Jesus and how he had changed his life to anyone who would listen. I remember him telling me that God is always watching out for me. And I've always remembered that. That's probably the thing I remember most of what he told me. Let me be clear, there are a few things my dad was not. He was not a handyman. This was apparent in a few situations, one of which was when he was repairing the garage door. He swallowed a nail and had to get it removed in the ER. Another time was when he borrowed a chainsaw in a van and went up to the woods with my mom to get firewood. The first thing he did when he got started was cut a small twig off a tree trunk and then proceed to cut into his ankle. And so ended his logging career. The doctor said it was a miracle he didn't sever his main artery. Cars were not one of his hobbies. One day after arriving home, Dad said they had purchased a sports car. He showed me the new Mercury Bobcat, which looked like a Pinto with mag wheels, and it would shake violently over 55 miles an hour. Or the Ford Granada that, as he called it, had 3 on the tree, which had a shifter on the steering column that would usually go out of first gear, and you'd have to punch it down with your fist to get it back in gear. My dad would say, "She's singing" when that happened. Dad laughed a lot, and we had great conversations about how the Lord did so many miracles in our lives and continues to do so. Because of Dad, we all have many good memories, and a few of my favorite memories are the family reunions and the softball games with Dad. He was a big softball player. His encouraging words and deeds, and how he was such an example of who I want to be in my life. Thanks, Dad, for doing that. I remember his good qualities and try to incorporate them into my way of thinking. In Philippians 4:9 it says, "Those things which you have both learned and received and heard and seen in me do, and the God of peace shall be with you." That was Paul talking to the Philippians. And also it says in the Bible that to be absent in this body is to be present with the Lord. So there's no doubt my dad is present with the Lord. The greatest lesson Dad taught me was love. Loving people you don't know, loving family, loving anyone, and most of all, loving Jesus. We'll all miss you deeply, Dad, but you're having a lot better time than us right now, and soon we will be before the Lord and have the chance to see you again and laugh.